Live, local, in-depth. Cairo 7 News at 6 starts now.
Tonight, a possible treatment for the coronavirus that comes from the blood of a survivor.
We are certainly optimistic that this will help patients recover quicker.
The call to other survivors in Western Washington to donate their plasma. Governor Jay Inslee offers his thoughts on when he could be comfortable to reopen business. Your stimulus check might have come today, but it may not be the last. The push on Capitol Hill to get a steady flow of income to more Americans. And the West Seattle Bridge out of commission until at least 2022. Why officials say they may have to replace it altogether. I'm Monique Minglavin from the Cairo 7 studios.
And hi again, everybody. Steve Rabel with you here again, social distancing tonight and reporting from home. Let's check on the very latest numbers now we have from the Washington State Health Department. There are more than 10,700 cases of coronavirus in the state, and so far, 567 people have died. Snohomish County is reporting the amount of recoveries on a daily basis, and as of today, over 1,360 people have recovered from its nearly 2,000 cases.
And we have some exciting news tonight. Some very seriously ill COVID patients in our area are now getting plasma from survivors, and doctors at Swedish Hospital say those patients are already showing signs of improvement. Cairo 7's Didi Sun talked with a woman who donated her plasma and explains why doctors need other survivors to do the same.
Swedish says all 5 of its major hospital locations are ready to get plasma from coronavirus survivors to hopefully help the most seriously ill patients. But so far, only a few dozen donations have been collected, and the hope is to seriously ramp that up.
Photos show Elizabeth Schneider donating her plasma at Bloodworks Northwest.
You're literally potentially saving a life.
We spoke with Elizabeth last month after she recovered from COVID.
It was 103 degrees, and by that point, I was completely shivering.
She's the first survivor in Seattle to donate what's called convalescent plasma, which has antibodies your immune system created to fight the virus.
I'm happy to share, quite literally like my body and whatever, biological information is in my blood.
This week, the first 2 patients at Swedish Hospital were treated with this special plasma.
So it was very, very exciting.
Dr. Livia Hegorova says the 2 patients were on oxygen, declining, and close to needing ventilators. After getting this experimental treatment,
it seems that their course has stabilized, so that's really encouraging.
Small studies in China have shown it can help people get better. Now there's a nationwide Mayo Clinic trial here ramping up to treat seriously sick COVID patients with survivor plasma and to test its effectiveness.
Because I'm helping others that might have more difficulty getting over.
Swedish Medical Center says, however, the plasma is in short supply. More than 10,000 people across Washington have gotten sick with COVID. So far, just 52 people have successfully donated at Bloodworks Northwest.
The stop point at this point is really the amount of plasma. Is the amount of donors.
In fact, Elizabeth says she's been getting messages from people across the country asking for her help.
I just feel so much for these people. You can tell the desperation in the messages.
She's asking anyone who can to donate. You can sign up through Bloodworks Northwest.
Cries for help is just, really gut-wrenching and really heartbreaking. And it really motivates me to go in and donate plasma.
Elizabeth tells me she plans to donate her plasma again on Friday and says she will keep doing it every week for as long as she can. In Seattle, Didi Sun, Cairo 7 News.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, a new blood test is being shipped out today that aims to determine whether a person has ever been infected with coronavirus, but its reliability is still up in the air. Abbott Laboratories says it plans to ramp up manufacturing to produce 20 million tests per month by June. Now, we told you about scientists here in Seattle who are developing the same kind of test. Antibody tests are considered a potential game changer in the battle to contain infections because they may identify people who had mild to no symptoms. Now, the test zeroes in on a protein the body produces in the late stages of infection. That protein can stay in the body for up to months, possibly years after a person has recovered. Identifying people with immunity could mean they are able to return to work. Now, the FDA is allowing shipments of the Abbott antibody tests, but the test itself still has not gone through an approval process. So, cautious optimism about that test. Also about the state's economy reopening. Governor Inslee says when it does, it is likely to reopen in phases.
Now, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who Monique mentioned was a pretty good basketball player just a couple of moments ago, tells Cairo 7 that not everything will get back to the way it was. Cairo 7's Essex Porter has the story from Olympia.
Speaking from his office here at the state capitol, Governor Inslee said he probably will not be able to lift any parts of his stay-at-home order before it expires on May 4th. Governor Inslee has indicated the economy might reopen in phases, not all at once.
And we do want to, as soon as we can, transition. And I want to talk about that transition that we need to get to when we can.
Construction is one example he's considering, but first, the rate of infection, he says, must drop further.
If, in fact, we see this curve going down dramatically, if we look like we're heading down to the zero that we're searching for, if those things happen, that yes, we can consider that or other industries as well, but those things need to happen.
Speaking with Cairo 7's Washington Bureau today, Dr. Anthony Fauci said that whenever the economy reopens, life will continue to be different.
I think in the context of trying to reopen society, that there will be some degree of physical distancing and attention to things that we didn't pay attention to before, namely like handshaking, washing your hands, keeping to the extent possible physical distancing.
Bottom line, when the infection numbers go down and the testing numbers can go up, that's when Governor Inslee will feel confident reopening the economy. In Olympia, Essex Porter, Cover 7 News.
Well, SeaTac Airport is reporting more cases of COVID-19. In addition to the 3 TSA workers, a restaurant employee and janitorial supervisor tested positive as well. The restaurant worker from Poke to the Max, located in Concourse D, was last there on April 6th. The supervisor, who worked at the baggage claim level, was last there on April 4th. The areas where they worked have been cleaned and sanitized. There is the potential of much greater food supply concerns southeast of the Tri-Cities. More than 40 workers at the Tyson Fresh Meats plant in Wallula tested positive for the virus. County emergency management officials say they are confident the company is taking the necessary steps to reduce or prevent any additional spread. A giant Tyson facility in Iowa had to shut down earlier after nearly 200 workers tested positive for COVID-19.
Tonight, new numbers from the North Sound show a dramatic drop in coronavirus cases. And as Cairo 7's Ryan Sim reports, first responders in Snohomish County have largely avoided getting sick at all.
Here in Snohomish County, emergency workers say social distancing obviously has helped, but beyond all the business closures, they actually started preparing for this pandemic long before it even hit here. Despite being on the front lines during a worldwide health crisis, first responders with South County Fire are heading into this pandemic unscathed.
I'm seeing what's happening to first responders in other parts of this nation, and you ask your question, why isn't that happening to us?
Even though Snohomish County was the first area in the entire country to have a case of coronavirus with 1,000 infections since then, not a single staff member within this department has come down with COVID-19. Making it all possible, says the deputy chief, has been nonstop communication with other agencies.
And we just report to each other, what are the conditions in your area? What actions are you taking? What do you need? What PPE does one department have that they could share with another department?
As soon as the first COVID-19 case was reported, the department started sending out first responders in this protective gear. That was back in January, before the disease swept through Washington state. During that time, the department also created a position for a dedicated science analyst, one who would study what was happening and then give first responders recommendations on how to stay safe.
So the entire first responder community, even a lot of the law enforcement, was operating off the same playbook.
On the front lines of it all, rescuers who were keeping you safe while staying safe themselves. In Linwood tonight, Ryan Sims, Cairo 7 News.
As stimulus payments start to arrive in people's bank accounts, some House Democrats are trying to get more money to Americans. Cairo 7's Lindsay Sheldon is at the live desk right now. And Lindsay, we are talking about a lot more than that one-time $1,200 payment.
Monique, this new proposed legislation aims to give people $2,000 per month until employment returns to pre-coronavirus levels. And unlike the current stimulus package, this would also include people making more than $100,000 a year. Representatives Tim Ryan and Ro Khanna spoke today about what they are calling the Emergency Money for People Act. And Seattle Representative Pramila Jayapal is also one of the co-sponsors. The bill would provide $2,000 payments for at least 6 months. So who would qualify? Every American 16 and older making less than $130,000 a year would get payments of $2,000 per month. Married couples earning less than $260,000 together each year would get $4,000 a month. And families who would qualify according to income would also get $500 a month per child, up to 3 children.
This payment is in addition to other benefits that may be coming. So there could be a real opportunity for families to be stable, to stay current on their bills.
College students and adults with disabilities would be able to receive payments even if they are claimed as dependents. People who are unemployed or are currently unemployed would also be eligible. And these lawmakers say that these payments could be sent through not only direct deposit and check, but also prepaid debit cards, PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle. Those payment options are a big difference between this proposal and the $1,200 stimulus payments. The IRS launched an online portal today to allow people to check the status of that payment, but a lot of people are reporting that they've tried it and that their payment status is not available right now. As for this new proposed legislation, we will track its progress. At the live desk, I'm Lindsay Sheldon, KIRO 7 News.
Still ahead, the West Seattle Bridge could remain closed until 2022. How much money it will cost to fix it and what needs to be done to make it safe again. Plus, the zoo is closed, but the animals still need care. How vets at the Woodland Park Zoo are keeping the animals safe and fed.
Still a lot of pollen in the air until we get some rain to wash that pollen out. Updating the pollen count and our next rain chance, which is now just days away.
Hi, I'm Lisa Robertson, and we're bringing you a very special version of Local Steals and Deals, shining a spotlight on outstanding companies and their passionate founders. Small businesses are the backbone of America, and it is more important than ever that they thrive now. In this special version of Local Steals and Deals, we are bringing you exclusives to make your life safer, brighter, and more fun. Join us in making a difference. Simply text USA to 65,000 to learn more.
We are following developing news from the West Seattle Bridge, where officials say it could take until 2022 to repair. The city says the damage is so bad they will probably have to replace it. The bridge was closed on March 23rd after engineers discovered cracking, which had grown rapidly. Crews will need to make repairs to a support structure on the east side of the bridge, which could cost up to $33 million. And officials say they do not anticipate traffic coming back in 2020 or 2021. Seattle Department of Transportation Director Sam Zimbabwe says if they do the proper repairs, the bridge could last another 10 years. Mayor Jenny Durkin says she will not allow a car to go over the bridge until it is 100% safe.
This is a bridge that carries over 100,000 people a day and affects everybody who lives in West Seattle. There is never a good time to learn that this critical piece of infrastructure is taken out of service and could be failing.
Well, the mayor is closing the lower bridge to the public. It will be open only to first responders and public transit. The city is working with King County Metro to give people more public transit options. They also adjusted traffic lights at the detour routes. Officials are still not sure how the bridge was damaged.
Here's one of those stories that will make you shake your head and then it will really make you angry. An Everett organization that helps homeless women and children is cleaning up after thieves trashed the place and soiled their day center. Judy Hoff showed us where these bums broke into Esther's place this weekend, but they didn't just break the windows and steal essential food. Hoff says, in her words, the crooks used the carpets and the storeroom as an outhouse.
Who knows why anybody would do that? You know, it's not logical at all, because what we do is give free food to the homeless and a place for people to grow and change their lives.
For somebody to break in like this, it's really, really sad.
Yeah, and it really makes you angry, as we said. Volunteers are salvaging and sanitizing what they can. We have put links on our website about Esther's Place and how you can help them out.
Hopefully there will be quite a response. Now, the Woodland Park Zoo may be closed to the public, but they have not shut down operations.
No, they have 1,100 animals to care for, and they're losing critical funds during this temporary closure. Cairo 7's Tracy Leong explains how they're giving virtual experiences to gain support.
The Woodland Park Zoo relies on their visitors, events, and programs to help fund their mission. So during this time, they've developed creative ways for people to still connect and donate.
Annabelle, over here.
Pot-bellied pig Annabelle is freely exploring the Woodland Park Zoo while it's closed to visitors during the coronavirus pandemic.
Don't get me wrong, we miss our guests. We really wish we were open, but we're trying to take advantage of the situation and capitalize on the empty zoo and do some things we maybe wouldn't have the opportunity to do under normal circumstances.
Woodland Park Zoo curator Rachel Salant says they're sharing these field trips on social media, a fun experience for everyone, because it's not just the public missing visits.
The behaviors we're seeing from them are telling us that they actually miss the guests and the interaction they get through the glass.
The zoo is also finding new ways to engage with the public.
And I'm here with my friend Clyde, the Virginia opossum.
Every Tuesday, they're hosting a super snack time on Facebook to share a virtual meal and answer questions, giving people a way to still feel connected.
Whatever you're eating at home, we want to engage with you and enjoy some snacks with our critters. It's really important that we continue to bring the zoo to you.
During this crisis, they've modified their staffing with new safety protocols to ensure the animals continue to get the vital care they need. But with the closure, they estimate they'll lose about $4 million in revenue, and that's just through the end of April, creating a challenge to sustain their operations.
There's different ways that the community can help contribute to what we're doing here at the zoo. You could just renew your zoo membership if you're a local member of the community. Keep your zoo membership going. That really helps us. So there's lots of ways that you can continue to engage with us and contribute and make sure that we're still here and ready for you when our gates open again.
People can also show their support with a digital adoption of one of their animals. Those can be purchased on the Woodland Park Zoo's website. Reporting in Seattle, Tracy Leong for Cairo 7 News.
All right, a beautiful day across western Washington today and tomorrow. And Friday as well. A little more cloud cover over the weekend, but still a really nice stretch of weather. Temperatures today into the mid-60s. Have had a few spotty showers, but as I mentioned in the last half hour, these are starting to fade away around Mount Rainier, between Mount Rainier and Snoqualmie Pass as they move to the southwest tonight. I expect a dry evening and a dry tomorrow, a mainly dry Friday, and then on Saturday the chance of a sprinkle or two. So mountain showers fade tonight, plenty of sunshine tomorrow. For Friday, a few more clouds, but we are going to stay dry. Until we get some rain in here later on next week, the pollen count moderate to high in the tree category. We are right in the middle of tree pollen season. It does start to transition to grasses and weeds a little bit later in the month of May. Not quite yet, though. This is mainly cedar and ash and juniper, and that's something that a lot of us, myself included, are allergic to this time of year when the tree pollen count is so high. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, mainly clear skies tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. into early on Friday, all smooth sailing. Now on Friday afternoon and Friday evening, we'll get a few more clouds in here and eventually a chance of a sprinkle or two on Saturday and a mountain shower to start the weekend, but most of us are going to be dry all the way into next week. Morning temperatures, though, for Thursday in the 40s, highs tomorrow, 65 in Bellingham, 69 in Seattle. That would tie the warmest day of the year so far, which was last Thursday. 71 in Chehalis and 68 degrees in Bremerton and Port Orchard. The Cairo 7 pinpoint 7-day forecast. Your weekend always in view. Those clouds coming in late. It'll be a partly to mainly cloudy Saturday. Not as much sunshine as we've had. Turning sunny on Sunday. Monday, mainly sunny. Our rain chances do start to pick up by the middle of next week. That'll be a more substantial rain chance and probably a pattern shift to cooler with more clouds and occasional showers. Your forecast is always on KIRO7.com.
Coming up on the CBS Evening News, new numbers tonight as officials worry about the growing outbreaks in nursing homes across the country. Plus our interview with Dr. Anthony Fauci, why he says a vaccine could be closer than previously thought. And keeping fit while staying at home, the creative ways people are getting in their workouts when gyms are closed. That's all tonight right here on the CBS Evening News.
Coronavirus has changed our daily routines. At Bernard Law Group, we're screening new accident cases online and by phone, so we can handle your case while social distancing. Call now for a free case review. 800-690-1000.
Providing a layer of protection you can count on, WeatherTech features non-porous surfaces that can easily be wiped with germ-killing disinfectants and can easily be washed out for complete protection, front, back, and even up the sides. It's not so easy with carpet mats. Stay safe with WeatherTech, the ultimate protection for your vehicle. Order today at WeatherTech.com.
To our Fred Meyer associates, for the long hours and late nights, for the miles traveled and the shelves restocked, for making a difference in our customers' lives, for doing so much more than your job. Everyone at the Kroger family of brands and our customers say thank you. In a time when daily life feels a bit uncertain, your hard work is keeping America fed. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone.
Just when you thought you were done painting, you discover paint bleed under your tape. Not with Frog Tape. Frog Tape is the only painter's tape treated with patented paint block technology. Paint block reacts with the water in latex paint to form a micro barrier against paint bleed, giving you the sharpest lines possible. Get professional results with Frog Tape. No messy lines, no paint bleed. For sharp lines, every time, Frog it.
Hi, it's Jan from Toyota. As part of your community, we're here to help you during these challenging times.
If your vehicle needs servicing, there's a Toyota Service Center near you that can help you out. Rest assured, our waiting areas are continuously cleaned and follow spacing guidelines, with your vehicle cleaned as well. Schedule service online or call for an appointment today.
We're here for you. Contact your local Toyota dealer to see how they can help. Toyota.
Do you hate to shop, fighting traffic, the crowds? Maybe you just don't have the time? Carpet Liquidators can help with our free shop at home service. It's simple. Just schedule a time that works for you, and our flooring experts will bring samples to you, measure, and give you an estimate. Best of all, it won't cost 1 penny more than coming to the store, but it'll save you time, gas, and the hassle of shopping. Visit carpetliquidators.com to schedule your shop at home appointment. It's quick, easy, and the visit is free.
Muckleshoot Bingo supports our community and reminds everyone to stay home and stay healthy. With time, we'll get through that.
The day's biggest stories at a convenient time. Cairo 7 at 7.
Coming up tonight in primetime on CBS and Cairo 7, Survivor, SEAL Team, SWAT, Cairo 7 News at 11, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and his special guest, Shaquille O'Neal. And in just 30 minutes on Cairo 7 at 7, one East Side city is reeling from the cost of dealing with the outbreak at a nursing facility. How much the city of Kirkland says it's lost in the pandemic and the help their leaders are hoping for now at 7.
The Department of Fish and Wildlife responded to reports of a 2-year-old black bear on a beach near Squim over the weekend. Officials say a lot of people were avoiding the stay-at-home order and trying to approach that bear. Obviously, the bear was not obeying the orders either. Staff went on a 4-mile trek with that bear before eventually trapping it, and after a checkup, wildlife staff moved it deep into the Olympics and away from people. And Morgan, listen, I can understand that bear. We all want to get out on a walk on the beach these days.
Right, and I think everyone can keep their distance a little bit more from the bears around here. Temperatures the next few days are going to be pretty nice in the 60s, around 70 tomorrow. A little cooler over the weekend. All in all, not too bad.
Yeah. Keep those 6 feet away from the bears as well as everyone else. Now for Stephen Morgan, thank you for trusting Cairo 7 News. Stay informed, stay healthy. We'll see you again tonight in about a half an hour at 7 o'clock.
Cairo 7 News is live, local, in-depth, 24/7. Log on to Cairo7.com and download the Cairo 7 News and weather apps. Cairo 7 is a Cox Media Group station.